Hello, Elle, my beautiful.
Live from Austin, Texas, it's the internet's favorite advice show.
Answering for a friend.
Now, here's your hosts, Clint Baker and Mia Harms.
Oh! Hey, what's up, guys? It's Clint. I am back with another episode of Answering for a Friend. Where in the world is Mia. It's just me today. And where are you guys? Let's take a look at the chat. Today we're going to have a interesting show. It's just going to be me. So I'm going to be talking and try to fill up as much space as I can here, but I'm going to need your help. So if you have any ideas about any of these questions, feel free to please chime in and help me out with that. So let's see here. Before we get started, guys, I need you to like, share, subscribe, click that notification bell, and let your friends know about the show so we can let you know about future shows and let your friends know too. And the more the merrier. We'll have a good time in here. All right. Well, it's just me here. Man, it's a lonely island. I almost feel like I should have had another guest on with me. But when I say that, I mean like a picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger or something. But anyway, let's take a look at the chat and see who is in here. Anybody commented? Nope, 0 comments. Well, thanks, guys. It's good to see you guys. I'm gonna make sure the comments are working before we get this going. There's Roberta. There's Bobby. Bobby. How you doing, Bobby? The first Patreon ever on the Clint Baker Patreon page. Thank you very much, Bobby. All right. Well, good. We know YouTube is working. Let's see if this. Let's see if these. Bobby. All right. Well, good. We know YouTube is working. All right. Let's see if this. Make sure that Facebook is working, and we're gonna move forward. Yes, Facebook's working too. We got. What is this show exactly, Phil? We gotta listen to Clint talk. It's. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Let's see who else is in here today. We got 4 viewers. Hitting the big time. I have a feeling when one of them is silent, it means it's my mom. So we'll see how that goes. So no cursing tonight, guys. A little Red Bull in the house. Before we get started, I'm going to share. I got a message from Mia that she wanted me to play for you guys. So I'm going to play that. And let's see here. All right, here we go, guys. Message from Mia.
Hello, Elle, my beautiful, answering for a friend, folks, and then also Clint. Hi, Clint Baker. I wish I could be there tonight. I'm recording this audio so Clint can play it and let you guys know that I miss you, and I will hopefully see you next week. I just gotta keep growing this brain and passing exams and stuff. So it's taken over my life, but I will be back, I promise. And don't let Clint give bad advice without me. And also communication. Okay, bye.
Yeah. Do you hear that? She said, "Don't let Clint give bad advice without me." She's like, "I only let Clint give bad advice with me." Is that what you meant? I don't think so. Well, let's get on to the first question. Let's see, we got 7 watching right now. We're going to move on to the first question. The first one, and I got to pull up the context. I have the long version. Sometimes when I need some questions for the show, I'll jump on Reddit and I can find people that are like desperately putting their stories out there, and I'll use that. If I don't get anybody sending me anything in. So I found a bunch of good ones last night, a bunch of bad ones. It's dark stuff, but we're going to try and answer these questions for them and see what we can come up with. So first of all right. My fiance cheated on me. What should I do? Well, man, that's tough. Let's read about it. Let's get a little context and see what they say there. And I don't need this plugged in anymore. So, all right. I'm 32. I've been with my fiance who's 33 for 5 years. We've been supposed to get married last August, but he made a tough decision to postpone our big day until 2022. And blah, 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 blah. I met him at work. We're both hairstylists. And I'm going to skip through this because it's really long. Yeah, and then 9 months ago, he told me he was feeling really depressed and stagnant at work, so he goes to work at another place. And instantly, he was much happier. And skimming. And then they decided to get off birth control, and she ended up getting, because they're about to get married, and then she got pregnant. 20 weeks, 4 days. And they're both excited for the next chapter of their lives together. He changes his hours at work. Long story short, he ends up coming to her and confessing that he freaked out, and I guess the baby situation made it really real for him, and then he ended up like freaking out and fell into the arms of one of his younger coworkers who was in her early 20s. And she's like, now she's pregnant. See, if there wasn't a baby involved, I'd be like, dude, you should just get out of there. This guy, he just, fucked up or whatever, but you don't need to be with somebody who's doing that. But now they have a baby in the picture on the way. So she's, and she wraps it up with, basically, any advice would be great. She says he'll be a great father to the kids, but she's like, I'm 99% sure this is something I can't get over. I'm really trying my hardest to stay calm for the baby's sake, but I don't think I can get over this. And this is a thing where you got to make a crazy decision. It's like, do you stay with this guy for the kid? Or, it's like either way, like you said, either way he's going to be in the kid's life. And he's good with kids, so he's going to do the right thing. But you don't know what to do. I would say, I think you definitely need to go see a therapist and talk to a therapist about this. Like, I would say 99% of the people out there are not going to be able to let something like this go. Yeah, you're going to do it for the kid and like stay with this person and be resentful. And there are some people that can work through things and move forward. I'm not saying it's impossible, but man, it's a tough one. I think you need to really, really be honest with yourself. And coming from a generation where most people have divorced parents, including myself, I can tell you, your kid's gonna be all right. Especially if you say this guy's usually a pretty stand-up dude. I would say be honest with yourself. And if you think you can let this go and just say, hey, we were young, we're in our early 30s, we were young, but he made a mistake. This is a growth period in our life. This is how we realized we could have gone the other way, but we realized, you know what, we really do want to be together. And the fact that we were able to work through that makes us even stronger. If you can spin that in your mind, into something like that, but most people can't let that go. And again, I'd say you should really talk to a therapist about this, because you're gonna have to deal with some deep feelings and really dig and get the hurt out and discuss it and figure out if you can put that aside or not. Some people would do it for their kids, but I'd say if you're gonna just do it for your kids, you're gonna end up really resentful later and maybe short yourself. You might be able to find somebody else that makes you happy and still have the guy in your life, in the kid's life. And, people do things all the time. Dad lives on the next street over, and kids go back and forth, and you can make a situation that's positive for the kids and fair for you, and, fair for dad. So that's what I say. I wouldn't stick with that person, because I'd be resentful. As even fooling myself, I would be resentful the whole time, and it would just make me turn into a bitter jerk, and I wouldn't want to do that. So let's see what the chat says. Wedding's off. That's easy. Yeah, it's the kid the kid on the way that's making it hard for this future mom. They will likely do it again. They will likely do it again and then claim he was freaking out about this other thing or that. I believe you're right, Punk Rock Phil. I think you're absolutely right. Anybody who's engaged and then finds out they have a baby on the way and then they cheat, they're cheaters, and cheaters going to cheat. And I think it's one thing making a dumb mistake when you're a stupid kid or something, but you're in your 30s engaged with a baby on the way. That's not good. So my advice, again, see a therapist and be honest with yourself, and don't worry about the kid. Just make choices that will keep that kid in a healthy environment. People with divorced parents do fine. It's fine. It's going to be okay. All right. Let's see here. All right. Hi, Michelle. Got a black heart right there. And we have 8 in the chat now. All right. I'm going to move this down here. Okay. Let's see here. Fiance cheated. Okay, we got... Uh-oh. That was weird. There we go. My boyfriend went on vacation with his female best friend. Am I wrong for being jealous / suspicious? Asking for a friend. Are you wrong for being jealous and suspicious? Man, people have friends, you know what I mean? I think it's a very immature thing to say, guy and a girl, blah, 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 but it's also, you need context to make this decision. You got to be honest and don't be jealous. Let's get a little bit of context here. Boyfriend goes on vacation with female who used to like him. That's okay. I remember this now. Few years back. So anyway, what the crux of the whole thing is? A few years back, she got with this guy, and in the beginning, like he introduced one of his besties, his female friend, and then at some point later down the line, that friend said, in the beginning, I had a crush on boyfriend, and I wanted to steal him from you, but we've been friends forever, and I wanted to steal him from you, but you know what? I don't feel like that anymore, and I really like you now. So then, fast forward a little further, and then girlfriend goes on a business trip, and while girlfriend is on business trip, best friend and boyfriend go on a vacation. Well, you're going on a trip, we're gonna go. Now, had she not confessed she had intentions of stealing him or had ever liked him, I think it would be fine if they were good friends and you hung out all the time. But having that in your mind, I think, no, you're not wrong to be jealous. And you got to wonder, people go on vacation to get drunk together. I'm not saying everybody would do that, but I'm saying in this situation where they did have some kind of feelings, I don't know. It's kind of weird. And yeah, I don't know. Kind of weird. I have really good friends who are girls that I've been on vacation with, and it's cool. It's fine. No weirdness. I have a friend that I've stayed in a hotel room, separate beds. Not weird. People have friends. It's cool. We're all grown-ups. Well, hopefully people watching this are grown-ups, but yeah, so I don't know. What do you guys think? Phil? Nothing? We got 9 watching. Nobody has any thoughts. If your boyfriend went on vacation with his girl best friend, now some people have, the girlfriend who's the best friend is gay. That then of course you're not worried about that. But there's even situations where there's people who are worried about their gay friend being with their boyfriend. It's like people get jealous. It's just what people do. I'd have a conversation. First of all, the fact that they just pieced out and went on vacation, I think you should have had a conversation ahead of time and said, look, man, he just went. I think you should have a conversation with him saying, hey, you should have talked to me about this. It's kind of weird going on a trip. And I guess maybe the guy's just dumb. He doesn't, guys do dumb stuff like, oh, I didn't know you'd get mad. And some guys are shady, and they're like, woo, he might be playing both. Who knows? I don't know. I would have a conversation with your boyfriend, tell him this really bothered you, and then and see where that conversation takes you. The admitted feelings makes the jealousy acceptable. Absolutely, Phil. I think you're right. I think I should have just had you as a guest tonight. Here's an interesting one. Oh, a day trip to Fredericksburg and then they go back to their homes, fine. But a vacation, it's over the line. That's exactly what I was thinking. It's a little bit much, and I've gone to New York City and stayed with a female, and it was a platonic thing, and we went out and went to the Empire State Building and had a great time, and then I came home. I mean, that's fine, but if it's a girl that comes over to your house and then confesses to the girlfriend that you were going to steal him, and now you've basically stolen him away on vacation while you were off on business, this is suddenly getting a little bit sketchier. All right. This is an interesting one. Man, my iPhone has been really irritating me lately. I keep having keeps going into like a battery low power mode, and I'm like, hey, don't do that. I don't want you to be on low power mode, because it shuts down my Windows. I'm trying to read this, all of a sudden it'll just shut it. Okay, cool story, Clint. All right, this is a good one right here. I agreed to be interviewed by my friend about my war-related PTSD, but not, but under my terms. I think I mistyped this. What should I do? Let me explain this. This guy wants to interview his friend, and he says, my friend 24 wants to interview me, I'm 22, about my experience with war and PTSD. I wanted to help him, but I can't do the interview and remain anonymous, and I don't know what to do. He said, basically, this is my friend, blah, 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 blah. This is for a peace and ethics of war class. For the final, they're supposed to interview someone who has real-world experience. And he agreed. This is like a month ago. He agreed to do it. But then later he thought about it, and he was like, you know what? I don't mind telling my story, and I don't mind people seeing. But I would rather be anonymous, because I don't want that out on the internet. I don't want that looming in the background. Somebody could pull this old thing up. He's like, I don't mind sharing for the class, for the professor, for whatever, but I don't want that out there. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, they're finding all kinds of stuff out there for dumb tweets and everything else. He's like, this thing would be out there forever. And my recount of a lot of things that are very personal, will be out there. I don't want that. And so he tells his friend that, and his friend says, no, the professor said it has to be public. You can't be anonymous. And he's like, I don't know what to do. And this guy's such a stand-up dude. He's like, I don't know what to do. I gave my word that I would do this, so I don't want to flake on this guy, but I don't want that out there, And I mean, like, war stuff. Like, this is some of the most gruesome things that people can ever see. People getting murdered in front of them and dying and all that. And he says, oh, no, the professor said we can't. I don't think that's right. Like I don't think this guy, first of all, guy who's anonymous, thank you for your service. If you stumble across this and you're like, hey, this dude with the big head is talking about my story, thank you for your service. And you, second of all, you don't owe your friend anything. You've already paid your debt to society. What do you mean a debt? But you've sacrificed enough. Just the fact that you have a story to tell that's gruesome. Man, you don't owe anybody anything. So you could you can back out of this thing, and you're not a scumbag for flaking on your friend. You don't owe anybody anything. That's the main thing. But if you do want to help out your friend, and you do want to follow through with what you said, you shouldn't have to give your identity. I firmly believe your buddy said, no, it has to be, the professor said. I don't think he checked. And maybe this professor is just kind of desensitized to dealing with students, and they just make a blanket statement like that. But I almost would guarantee you that if you contacted the professor directly and say, hey, let me talk to your professor, and you contacted that professor and said, hey, I want to give my story. I don't want my identity out there. Can I do this and remain anonymous? I would almost guarantee you it would. First of all, it would put him on the spot, because you have a veteran who has seen some stuff, putting him on the spot. I don't think he would say, no, veteran who served his country, you have to give your identity. I don't think he would say that. I think he might say that to a student because he's dealing with a whole room of them. But I think if you showed up, he would maybe make an exception. And I'm pretty sure that rule is so that you don't have a student out there making up a bogus person and having a silhouette of a bogus person and recording a fake thing. I think he wants to make sure you're real. And I think if you end up calling him and talking to him or showing up at his office and he sees that you're real, I'm sure he would make an exception. And if he doesn't and he wants to demand that a veteran who's got PTSD out himself in public, and then you should out him and put that on social media. And I usually don't back that. I don't like people getting outed on social media. I think that's bullshit. I think most situations should get handled personally, but this is a special situation. I don't even necessarily think you should do that, but maybe you could threaten to do that. Like, hey, what would the internet think if you know that you're strong arming a veteran with PTSD? It's douchebag professor move. Okay, let's read some comments. No, you have to respect his anonymity. Yes, absolutely. No, there is no reason he can't be anonymous. His friend is taking advantage of him and not respecting his boundary. I agree. And I don't think his friend is taking advantage. I think his friend asked him and he said, sure. And then he asked his friend if he could remain anonymous. That was an afterthought. He sat with it for a little while, for weeks. And then all of a sudden he's like, the more he thought about it, the more he said, you know what, dude? I don't want that out there on the internet. I don't want that out there. So it came later. And then when he hit up his friend was like, no, man, you got to be in the video. Professor said. But I think that's bullshit. I think the professor would make an exception. No, professor can fuck off. Exactly. Now we're talking. Maybe the friend could speak to the professor privately so he can verify that his story is true and remain anonymous. That's exactly what I just said, Phil. It's like we're on the same wavelength. Yeah, that's if there's a rule that you can't do it anonymously, I guarantee you it's because they want to make sure that you're real. And if he lets the professor know that he's real, I don't see why. I'm like, yeah, dude, you should have one of those vocoders and a silhouette. And I think that would be cool. Like this. Yes, Yes, I am absolutely real. I am real. Okay. Like that. All right. Hey, cool bit. Can we get back to the show, Clint? Yeah, okay. All right. Get that out of here. Boom. All right. Cool. Well, let's jump to the next one. How many we got going? We got eight watching. Woo, we got some ratings. All right. This is an interesting one. My mom hid the truth about my dad's identity. I feel betrayed. Am I out of line? Asking for a friend. This is a crazy one. Let's see here. My mom, 35, hid the truth about my biological father my whole life. She's 19. I'm feeling so betrayed. I want to put everything I'm feeling out right now. I'm so conflicted. My mom had me when she was 16 and raised me with the help of grandma and grandpa. I used to ask about my dad when I was young, but she told me she didn't know who he was. But I really didn't care because having mom and grandparents was more than enough for me, and still wouldn't have been. And it still wouldn't have been. But turns out she has been lying to me about his identity this whole time. My mom sat me down to talk about it the other day and seemed serious. sat me down and told me everything. She told me she knew who my father was and chose to hide it all of these years. Her reasoning just made me feel awful, and I left. I just don't get it. I could have had a real father all this time, but she chose to keep us apart. I don't want to talk to my mom anymore, but she keeps trying to contact me. She also gave me his name, so finding him wouldn't be hard, but I don't know what he will do when I tell him I am his daughter. I'm so confused and just need to vent, but it still doesn't seem to work. This is a heavy duty situation. Or he could get Ethan Hawke to do it. Hell yeah, Ethan Hawke. Yeah, man, when your mom's been lying to you your whole life, the identity of your parents is a crazy thing, and I can't relate to anything like this because I know who my parents are. We all do, but yeah, you'd also feel betrayed. There's something else though that I thought about, Michelle. Michelle says no. I would absolutely. She absolutely should feel betrayed. I think the fact that her mom told her is a plus, and I think the fact that her mom was 16 when she had her has a big part of that. You know what I mean? Like, let's see, that she's 35 now. So, and this girl's 19. So it's like, there's some parents that wait till the kid is a certain age and then they tell them who their adopted parents are, things like that, or they wait a while before they tell them that. That was always a big thing in like the 80s and in sitcoms. That was like a reveal. That and Quicksand in the 80s, which Quicksand isn't real, which still blows my mind. But yeah, so you got to keep in mind your mom was 16 back then, and like when I was 16, I was a moron. And when I was, she's 35 now, I was still a moron, but I'm a little smarter, and it takes a while to grow up, and then she's carrying that. And then there's also the thing where it's like, I've kept it secret this long, now there's going to be resentment if I tell her, and finally she decided I need to tell her, and she did. So, yeah, that sucks. It's just like but the fact that she could have had him in your life, that's another story altogether. But these situations are nuanced, and who knows why she hid that. But I think not communicating with your mom is not the right move. I think you need to talk to her more. Maybe give her a little space right now. Like, just say, hey, fuck off for a while, Mom. You really crushed my world. But the fact that she keeps trying to get in touch with you and you keep pushing her away, she's worried that she broke you. You're her daughter, and she's worried that she hurt you. And the fact that you pushing her away tells her that. I would say, Mom, I need a little time to heal. And I definitely say go talk to a therapist. And just say, Mom, give me some space. I'm not going to push you away forever. Her mom's having a panic attack that she completely destroyed. And maybe she did her relationship with you. But what I would say is, like, look, I think eventually you're going to forgive your mom. You're hurt right now. Just tell your mom, I need a little bit of space to process this. We'll have another talk about this later. And because what's going to happen is because you got hurt feelings and you're just completely screwed up right now, it's going to be very hard to make rational decisions. And I think you need to talk to somebody and just tell your mom, look, leave me alone for a little bit. I need to process this. Just give me a minute. So let's see what people in the chat have to say. Maybe the dad didn't want to be known. She didn't know what she was doing, but this is too big. We got to shrink this down a little bit so we can see Billy Idol over there. All right. She didn't know what she was doing, but the grandparents should have given more guidance. Was the dad a deadbeat? That's all questions that I don't know. And I don't know if she knows all those things. She just freaked out and left and hasn't been answering her mom's calls. So there might be a lot of things like that haven't been discussed yet and aren't going to be discussed if she keeps pushing away her mom. Yeah. So, and then the fact that she could have had him in her life is an assumption. That's exactly right. We don't know that. We don't know that. You don't know that. That's the first thing you're gonna be like, what? You never told me. I could have had a dad. Like, clearly that's a void that you have, and that's not necessarily true. It's crazy. Let's see here. Bobby says, I was always honest with my daughter about her father. It was his choice not to have a relationship with her. Yes. Yeah, it's crazy, and this is a crazy mess, man. I have siblings, and I've got half siblings, and where dad lived across the state, and there's resentment and different things like that, and it's a tough situation when you have a kid and both parents can't be present. It's tough. There's hurt feelings, and there's I've got nephews and all kinds of people with everyone's got a different story, but not having your parents around definitely hurts, So, but having a shitty parent around really sucks. So this mom might have been, guarding her kid, and again, I think they need to talk it out and get some help. Let's see here. Asking for a friend. A friend's ex is having a party to introduce the new boyfriend to several of the mutual friends group, like a coming out party. Is that weird, or is it just me asking for a friend? I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of weird. A friend's ex is having a party to introduce a new boyfriend to several of the mutual friends in the group, like coming out party. So it's like, I guess it's like, if you've maybe got out of another relationship, and then you started a new relationship, and you just didn't want to let everybody know right away, so because it would shake things up. I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's kind of weird, but I mean, it makes sense. Like, if you're like, okay, I don't know if everyone's friends and family are ready for this, and then finally you say, you know what, it's been enough time. I guess so. I mean, I like parties, so any excuse for a party, it works for me. All right, let's see here. Coming up. Yeah. It's kind of weird. Let's see here. All right. This is a heavy one. My marriage is crumbling since I left the church. What do I do? Asking for a friend. All right, this is a heavy one. Man, this is I don't have Mia around to make things fun. This is like a heavy episode. Got any jokes or anything? All right. My marriage has been crumbling since I left the church, and now I feel like I'm feeling like divorce from my wife is my only option. So I've been married about 7 years, but now together for about 9. It's been a up and down, and as all relationships, we have 2 children together. Okay, so there's children in the mix. When we got married, we were both fairly devout, moderate Catholics. Generally stayed in line with the church, but weren't super involved either. A few years ago, after much personal study and reflection, I came to the realization I could not call myself Catholic anymore, and admitted to her that I am agnostic. Okay, she cried, and it hit her pretty hard. I told her I would still maintain appearances for a while by continuing to go to Mass, and she could still raise the kids Catholic. I had no intention of deconverting anyone with me. She started doubling down on her faith and to compensate for my absence and all that. Okay. Over time, though, things got more intense. I told her I wanted to start using contraceptives because the thought of having another child right now really elevated my stress and anxiety levels. I wasn't expecting her to take the pill, but I wanted to use a condom or get snipped. She was absolutely opposed to this. I pointed out that the church has approved this accommodation for couples in our situation. Vatican documents show support of this position, but still no budging. We haven't been intimate for 2 years. As a result, we've grown more distant. She complains about it and insists that this is something I need to feel comfortable. I've started seeing a therapist myself to help out with my stress and depression. We have also started seeing a couples counselor. Things have been still icy. I can tell it is hurting her, but I honestly have little desire to connect with her if she is going to insist on no contraceptive rule. Things are generally okay at home, but we just don't talk or spend much time together. They're not okay at home. If you're not talking or spending much time together, you guys are both living in the same house with your kids, and if this is an issue like that, and people take their faith really serious, whatever faith it is, and she's doubling down on her situation, and you're doubling down on your situation, and you're barely talking to each other, and it's been years, and I would say, man, I think it's maybe time for a divorce. That's just me, and who am I to tell you how to live your life? I think it's great you're talking to a therapist. I think you should, you don't want kids. You can't get snipped, even though it's okay, but she doesn't want you to. Maybe she wants kids. I don't know. Maybe she wants more kids. I don't know, but this is like a heavy duty situation. And you're right, Bobby. Bobby's like, this situation is not doing the children any good. Yeah, if y'all are walking around barely talking, y'all don't touch each other, it's not a nurturing, loving environment. Kids can feel that. You know what I mean? Like, you can sense mom and dad don't like each other. You don't need to be around that, like, if you're a kid. So I absolutely agree with Bobby on that one. The fact that he is citing papal precedents is a sign that it's time to move on from that relationship. Yeah, trying to raise kids with different religious views will ultimately become very difficult, even if it seems admissible at first. If you've grown apart this way, it's time to be separate. I agree. And this one, you know what? I glazed over this when I found this one last night. And I just thought it was like, hey, he's lost his faith. She still has her faith, and now they haven't been intimate for a while because he told her he's not a believer. That's what I thought. That's what I thought this was, and which I was going to say that's some crazy stuff because I have friends that are in churches. Like, I have what is it, Seventh-day Adventist? Like, his parents barely acknowledge him because he's not in the church. It's like some religions are hardcore and will, like, just out your own kids even because you're not in the church. And I thought that's what this was going to be, but it's not. It has to do with it also has to do with birth control, which is crazy to me. Crazy. That is a Catholic thing. Very Catholic. Catholics do not believe in birth control, and it's nuts. Oh, let's see here. Could be raising some future serial killers. Yeah. Reese 75. Mom, if you're watching, by the way, I'm sorry. We're talking about the nasty, but we're talking about the nasty. Use a skin feeling column and have sex in the dark. Yeah. Well, apparently they're barely talking. So this is a situation where I feel like they've drifted apart and it's time to move on. Which Catholics don't really like divorce either, so I don't know how that's going to go down. Let's see here. Children can be raised by two different religious parents. I'm proof. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, if you got two different religions, and let the kids do what they believe in, and figure it out as they grow. All right. Well, let's move on. let us move on. Did I already do this one? Okay. Oh, this is a fun one. How long have we been on? 44 minutes. I'm doing pretty good. And I want to remind you guys to like, share, subscribe. Click that notification bell if you haven't yet. All right. And why don't guys understand basic hygiene? Asking for a friend. Asking for a friend. What? Basic hygiene. Okay, well, we're going to have to get into that. And on the last thing, Reese75 said fake your own death. I think that's a good way to do it, especially if you take out an insurance policy. And she probably will agree. She'd be like, hey, that's a great idea. This person writes, apparently they just got somebody stinky. And they said, you need to take care of yourself. Have you ever had a woman ask you why your lips are so soft? Chapstick every day. It's the best thing. Anon, your hair smells amazing. Women respond better to feminine smelling products and or perfumes. Is that cocoa butter? Your response, I thought it smelled nice. Clean and clip your goddamn fingernails. No woman wants your gross swamp hag fingers anywhere near them. A random note, cologne is better discovered, not announced. Meaning, if you wear cologne, do it sparingly. No one wants a taste of your agua de Gio. Finally, I'm sorry to be graphic. You're used to the smell of your balls. It's been with you every day since puberty. Girls or not, take time to scrub them. Make those surrounding areas neat and clean. Also, wear clean underwear at all times. You never know. On the same note, if you have your own place, make sure there's a mini trash can with a liner in the bathroom. Make sure you have wet wipes available as well. I'm probably missing 1,000 things, but these basics won't steer you wrong. Good luck out there, boys. Wow. That was intense. I feel like this girl she must have been dating the Sasquatch or something. That was an intense rant. It also led to people talking about how often they change their sheets. One guy was like, I change my sheets every day. And then someone else was like, I change my sheets every month. And somebody else said, any real man changes their sheets once a week. So, yeah, but if you definitely got a lady coming over, you better change your sheets, guys. Don't be disgusting. Yeah, and this other guy was like, yeah, I change my sheets every couple of weeks, and while they're in the washer, I sleep on the mattress with no sheets. And somebody else called him a Neanderthal. So it was a crazy bunch of comments on that one. But yeah, is this from Jake Gyllenhaal's girlfriend? No kidding. Yeah, hygiene is definitely good. You need to change your sheets for sure. You need to shower. But what about those Europeans that don't shower very often? Is that just like a dumb American cliche, or is that like, dude, we shower like once a week? I don't know. That was very French of you. Let's see here. Anybody have anything funny to say about that? That wasn't much of a question. That was just more like a rant. Like this lady must have been on some bad smelling dates. I tell my son girls don't like dudes who don't use shampoo, don't cut their nails, don't like and smell like ass. If you don't start them young, they may never be motivated. That's right. Ah, okay, cool. Reese says, no, that's just the French. Okay. All right. That's what I thought. Wee wee. You have to clean your wee wee. All right. Okay. We got another one here. Anybody else got any last hygiene tips for young men that are gross? All right. Stinky Phil says, just kidding. You don't need to shower that often. your body needs time to produce its natural oils. Also, COVID. Who do I see? What? Um, yeah, I also I read an interesting article where this lady who was a writer, she went a whole month without showering, and it was really weird. Like and no deodorant either. And at first, she smelled really bad. At first, she said like I felt like I stunk, and then after about a week, like all these oils and stuff came out, and she's like I wasn't using shampoo, nothing, and I think she wasn't even bathing. Um, and after a couple of weeks, she quit smelling, and and I don't know if this is a BS article or not, but she quit smelling. She didn't smell anymore, and like your body naturally just starts taking care of itself. And she said her skin got cleared up, her hair felt healthier than ever, and goes on to talk about that we're used to putting all these products in our hair and on our bodies and stuff, but that we don't actually need that stuff, and that the body will take care of itself. And yeah, she said it was weird, and after a while, she said she didn't smell. So I wonder if she didn't smell or she just got used to her own stank, and everybody's like, "Damn, that girl stinks." Maybe her natural pheromones had kicked in, and people were attracted to her. I don't know. You stink, but I'm strangely attracted. I don't know. Weird one. I don't know if it's true or not, but apparently shampoo damages your hair, and it's better to use just water. That's what Edward said over at Small Screen. He was like, yeah, he doesn't use shampoo. That's what some people say. Or if you're using natural stuff. I always wondered too about natural things on your skin and stuff. Like I noticed, I used to work at a pizza place years ago, and I noticed that like when I would cut bell peppers and I would get bell pepper juice on me, it made my skin really weird, like really weird and stretchy. And I wondered like, I wonder if you put bell pepper juice on your wash your face with bell pepper juice, what would happen? Or in your hair and stuff. It did really strange things to my skin. I remember noticing that, and I'm like, well, this is natural. It's in bell peppers, weird stuff. Also, you shouldn't wash your Levi's. There's a way to disinfect and let the jeans develop that cool worn-in jeans look. Yeah, I know people go a long time without washing their Levi's. Man, and that makes me think of the 90s when people were smoking in bars everywhere. Go out with your clothes, go to a bar, you wake up and your clothes have that nice bar stank where you stink like cigarettes. It's crazy. I can't even imagine that. Anytime I go to a play, like there's still some bars up in Cedar Park that have smoking, and you go in there and it's like when you leave, when I wake up the next morning, I'm like, oh my God, it's so weird. And I'm like, I can't believe I used to go to downtown Austin like 3 or 4 nights a week, and that's what it smelled like. It's weird. Here we got another jealous girlfriend question. Is this the one? Now this is the other side of guy I'm dating has a close friend. Should I worry? And I'm like, I feel like we already did this question, kind of, but it was different. Main worry is when I Facebook stalked, you can clearly see the two are pretty close. There's pictures from 10 years ago. And she sat on his knee with her arm around him and stuff. And so this is a girl that's dating this guy, and he's got a girl who's his friend, and she's looking at pictures of them from 10 years ago where they have like arm around each other, and she's sitting on his lap and stuff. Should she worry? I'm like, the fact that they're friends and showing up in public 10 years later tells you one of two things. I think you should not worry, because that tells you one of two things. If they've been friends that long and they were close like that, and that's not his girlfriend right now, then you don't need to worry. You got like digital proof they've known each other for this long, and they're not romantic with each other now. That means one of two things. Either they're just real close, but there's never been any kind of magnetism, or maybe they first got together, like they first met each other, and had an encounter, maybe kissed one time, and then the next day they realized they didn't like that. They didn't want to go down that road, and then they just stayed friends. And that's okay if they did that a long time ago before you met this guy. So I have friends like that where it's like, yeah, when hung out, met somebody at a party, all of a sudden, a couple beers, and then next thing you know, you end up making out with somebody, and then later on you're like, that never happened again, and you realize you didn't like each other like that. That stuff happens all the time. So the fact that you found these pictures from a long time ago and they're not married or together now means you're probably okay. That's just me. Exactly, Reese. He said it exactly what I was trying to say. That's a good point, Michelle. That's the problem. You're Facebook stalking. A jealous mind never satisfies. What it's searching for, it will always find. That's right. A jealous mind never satisfies. What it's searching for, it will always find. And like Reese said, the fact that it was 10 years ago, I think we're good. And I have close friends that like I said, it's like, oh, y'all never, nothing ever happened between y'all? Y'all are just friends? We're like, no, it almost maybe could have, and then it just didn't work out. And we're still buddies, whatever. Happens all the time. So it does also depend on how they act together. And yeah, everything else is great. She's clearly a big part of his life, so I'm being silly letting this bother me, but it's just they're pictures from years ago. Oh, this is even, I didn't even see this part. He mentioned this friend to me in one of our first conversations, so that's good. He said I'll love her, and he can't wait for me to meet her. He invited me as his +1 to her wedding, too, so she's married. So what are you worried about? They're just friends. That's like your married friend. Yeah, we were close. Maybe they were hooking up years ago, and they went different ways. She got married to somebody else, and now he's talking to you. That's like, don't worry about it. They're married. It's fine. Exactly, Bobby. What the hell were you doing 10 years ago? And are you worried because you're on the sly hooking up with your person that you were close to 10 years ago? And you're like, hey, sometimes the suspicious ones are actually the ones doing this stuff. That's not always, but sometimes that happens. Yeah, exactly, Reese. Sitting on his knee? All right. I like to see the chat on attack. Like, yeah, what the hell's your problem? 10 years ago. Jeez. All right. Here's a fun one. All right. Would you date someone who is broke? AF. Oh, never mind. It's broke. Answering for a friend. Hold on, we gotta change that because it's hilarious. I was just kidding when I said that. I'm changing this right now. Would you date someone who is broke AF? Asking for a friend. Interesting. Being the fact that I am a musician, man, I know a lot of broke asses. Basically, what the title says, asking because I've met a few men through dating apps who are broke or close to. I don't think I am a shallow person, but it concerns me because I know financial issues can cause major problems in a relationship. I don't come from money, and I have been broke before as a student, so I get nervous thinking about going back to that. I'm not materialistic, and I don't care about earning big, but enough to look after yourself is important to me. Yeah. So the big question is, if you're looking for someone, should you date somebody who is broke? Like, look, should you be out there looking for a diamond in the rough? Like, oh, or should you aim higher than that? Yeah. In the wise words of Kanye West, I ain't saying she's a gold digger. Yeah. keep your finances separate. You're only dating him. You're not marrying him. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would say you should definitely pay for yourself. And he should. I was going to say go Dutch, but now that we're in 2021, I don't know if that is a derogatory term. That's what my grandma used to say back in the old days. Y'all answer that question. Is that derogatory to say go Dutch? Is that probably so? I probably just canceled myself. Okay. Wow, I didn't even think that. I was just like, hey, I'm just talking. So yeah, which means to pay everybody pay for themselves on this date. You're supposed to pay for yourself on the date. And I think if you do that, you could figure out if this guy can't pay for his own way, then yeah, you don't want to be paying this guy's phone bill for him. You don't want to be paying for this dude. But if you find a really good guy, sometimes you need to just hang in there. I've got a close family member who met somebody and they weren't even employed at the time, and went on to marry them, and the guy became very successful, took great care of her, and made tons of money, and took care of her, was a great guy, and they were very happy together, and you couldn't ask for a better husband. So, and the guy wasn't rolling in money when they met. He didn't have a fancy car or anything like that, but they ended up in a happy relationship for years and years and years. So sometimes you can find a diamond in the rough and find somebody who doesn't have a lot of money, but is a solid, good person, an honest, good human being. And that's what you ultimately want. I think a lot of times if you're looking for successful people, you're looking for shiny cars and a boat and all that. Well, you might find a douchebag, and you might find a great guy. There's a lot of people who have money because they're smart and good with their money, but a lot of them also are good at beating other people at things, and being competitive, and sometimes being competitive and like that, it takes away some of the. I'm trying not to be offensive or shitty. Sometimes when you're scratching and clawing for money, worrying about people's feelings is the last thing on your mind, and you're worrying about money. And I think people that are like just eye on the prize, money, and don't care about people, that might not be the guy you want. But if you want the boat, maybe you need to jump on that. I mean, everybody's different. Every situation's different. But I think it's interesting. I was talking to some people, and I'm not making blanket statements about all rich people and all poor people. Everybody's different, clearly. But there are some competitive natured people that are not worried about human beings, and they're worried about themselves. And that's how sometimes you get all the marbles, is because that's how you're wired. Unfortunately for me, I'm not wired that way. I always worry about the product or the project I'm working on and the group that I'm involved in, and so now I don't have that many marbles, and so this would hit home with me. I'm like, I'm not the wealthiest guy in the world. Like, when people look at this guy and be like, I don't know. Let's see what some of these. What I was gonna say before I saw the squirrel run by, is that I was talking to some people the other day about this, and they were saying, dude, they were telling me, they're like, Clint, I had talked to a lot of girls that do dating stuff, like, and they're doing dating app stuff, and they're like, dude, you're not gonna believe how many people I've met that were broke. That I went on these dates, and this one girl's like, yeah, this one guy I met was living with his friend and sleeping on a pallet in the living room on the floor, and was like, hey, come on over, like, hey, you want to? They like swiped right on each other, and then he's like, yeah, come over and hang out at my place. I'm sleeping on my friend's floor, and like, to me, it just seems like, I mean, dude, I'm not judging anybody. It just seems like you wouldn't be like out there bragging on Tinder or like looking. It seems like you'd like, man, maybe you should be trying to fix your situation. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but yeah, look, they're like, you wouldn't believe. I've the stuff on Tinder. They're like, yeah, I swiped right. We're like, hey, yeah, cool. You're cute. Yeah, you're good looking too. And this and that. And I'm like, cool. Hey, you think you can pick me up? Because I don't have a ride for this date. And I'm like, wow, people are on Tinder without cars and they're getting dates. Like, yeah. Did you pick him up? She's like, yeah. I'm like, wow. I was like, yeah, you get a good heart then. That's cool. Because yeah, it's not all about money, but I don't know. It's a fascinating question to me. Just because different people have different ideas. Some people are wired completely different. And they're like, hell no, if he doesn't have a house and a car and blah blah blah, I'm not going out with this guy. Other people are like, no, he was super nice, so I went out with him. I just asked that yeah, morning wood. Yeah. Let's see here. Michelle says, being broke isn't the problem. It's the reason. Is there a potential for him to recover? If yes, hang in there. If not, it's okay to go. Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, everyone's different. Everybody's situation's different. But it's funny. People have certain standards, and some people have no standards. Some people just worry about like meeting a great person. Some people are like worried about like, okay, well, what's your degree? What's your this and that? Some people don't care if you have a degree. It's interesting to me as an observer of people, because I'm out there a lot, talking and listening to what people think and say, and it's just an interesting one to me. Oh, let's see here. What do you guys think? Anybody? Anybody got anything interesting? Anybody have any experience where you're like, dude, I met this guy. He was completely broke. Now he's a Bitcoin millionaire. I met him before his GameStop stock. Now we play Sega Genesis on his boat. All right. Oh, here we go. Here's a good one. Asking for a friend. I found out a semi-distant relative was a suspected serial killer and did admit to killing 2 people. Should I worry about my cousin's proclivities? One was a taxidermist. Strange. I wouldn't worry about it, dude. You said it's a distant relative, probably by marriage, unless you think you have the gene and you are feeling impulses. This is my buddy, so I'm being silly. Yeah, I think you're good. I think you should look for a movie that based on this guy and watch that. So that's my advice. All right, let's see here. Appearance. True story. All right. We already did broke. What? Feeling depressed about guys that only like me for my physical appearance. What should I do? Boy, this is a crazy one. Now we're about to wrap it up here. Okay, I feel very depressed about men feeling only lust towards me. I know how you feel. Okay, this might be cliche topic at this point, but as a girl, yeah, I feel it's really hard. First of all, I'd like to highlight from now that I don't dress provocatively, because it seems to be the excuse that people put on when you complain about seen as a sex object. Okay, I wear normal clothes, blah, 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 blah. I mean, basically, she says whenever she meets somebody, the conversation starts only flowing towards sex. I try to avoid it by changing conversation, but everything ends up there again. I don't consider myself a stupid girl at all. I'm a teacher. I work with children, which made me learn a lot about patience, and the ability to understand, nurture, and empathize with others. I have a degree and I'm about to get my master's, so it's not that I can't hold a basic conversation, and that's why men only see me as physical value. So my body is also pretty normal. Not so many curves, average. I'm a short girl, but it's overwhelming how many times I felt I had no other value apart from being an object of desire. I have reached the point which I'm terrified of, going to bed with any guy I date, thinking that maybe they'll lose interest the very next day. So I try to postpone it in hopes that I'm going to be seen as a human and real. And let me be clear, I like being liked. I like looking good. And if I have a partner, I want to feel sexual desire for. I want them to feel sexual desire for me, and intimacy and all this stuff. Okay. Okay. What's the problem here? Is there like something wrong with me? I would see a therapist about this. And talk to them. There's something going on. Either you're looking towards guys that are just really I don't know. I it's tough. You're looking at guys that are predatory, and I don't know. Predatory is the wrong way to put it. I mean, like, how old are the guy? How old is she, by the way? Let's see here. Oh, she did not. Well, if you're in your early 20s, guys are looking for sex all the time. That's what their bodies are spreading chemicals through their brain and body, and they think that's what they're supposed to be doing all the time. It's their body telling them they need to procreate, and that's the mission they are on. And if you're meeting guys in bars, that encourages it too. So maybe you should look elsewhere. Also, what are your interests? You should maybe meet somebody if you, don't put yourself out there in the meat market then. Stay off Tinder, and don't go to bars and go meet guys who've got a buzz that are like, hey, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Because drunk guys are typically trying to pick, in their 20s at least, trying to pick up girls and get with them. I would find somebody who shares similar interests. So, yeah, I don't know. You like Dungeons and Dragons? Go to a Dungeons and Dragons meetup and talk about Pokemon and D&D, and then y'all have a common thing. If you're a movie buff, meet somebody in a movie club, talk to them, get into things. If you're you study karate, go take karate lessons and talk to somebody in your class about that. If you work out, meet somebody in that. Now we all are talking about things other than sex, and that helps. I would say that helps. I don't know what your situation, how you go out, who you go out with when you do that, but for sure talk to a therapist and about this. And this also might be you inventing the scenario a little bit, where you're like, maybe you have something that needs to be investigated therapy wise, where you think everybody's out to get you in that way, and maybe you don't. Maybe they're not. Maybe they are. I don't know. But again, it's like if you're just going for guys on Tinder, a lot of people on Tinder are just looking to get some, and that's same as bars. Are you religious? Maybe you meet somebody at church. If you're going to church, meet somebody at church. Whatever club or whatever thing, you can find people with similar interests and talk about those things that you're interested in. And I think that's the way you need to go. If you're just doing meetup stuff, I don't know. And maybe you're just stunningly beautiful and you don't even realize how hot you are, and this is your curse. You gotta have douchebag guys that are gonna be chasing you your whole life. Oh boy. Yeah, first date fancy dress. And also, I think you're right about don't give it up. Don't even kiss the guy right off the bat. I would talk to the guy, see if you like the guy as a human being for a while, see if he likes you as a human being, and I would definitely hold off. Just say you're old fashioned and you don't like giving it up until you know that the person and you are on the same page, and you'll meet somebody that hopefully that is cool and is okay with that, you know? Let's see here. First date fancy dress, party, so it's about personality instead of looks. All right. Seriously though, you might check out podcasts that share your interest or events. Yes. Oh, I think Phil's talking about all right. Hold on a second here. You might be going to the wrong places to meet men. Try the Clint Baker podcast. Yeah, Phil's saying that because he met his girlfriend on my show. That's why he's saying that. I think it's hilarious. Seriously though, you might check out podcasts to share your interest. Yeah, I think you need to make it a place where you're talking about something. You know, I don't know. I recommend engaging on Clint's podcast. I mean, I'm a satisfied customer who's now engaged. Yeah. Bad advice. Dude really want to have sex? I don't even know what that means, but yeah. Continue not giving up. Talk to a therapist about it. If you think if you're questioning, am I crazy? No, you're not crazy. Are you kidding? We don't say that anyway. But if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But you need to change something because you're probably going to the same places over and over to meet people, and clearly that's not working. So try putting yourself in new scenarios, changing your habits, where you try different kind of meetups and stuff. So put that up there. Awesome. Let's see what else we got. Appearance. All right. Here's the last one. What's the best thing to cook to impress a date? What recipe should I be searching for? Asking for a friend. Okay, gang. This is the one we've been waiting for. This is the big one. We're talking about food. When we talk about food, that's the serious biz. Does anybody have any recipes to impress? I need recipes to impress the lady or the dude. What do you got? I know there's a 20-second delay, you guys. So I'm going to tell you mine. If I need a kick-ass dessert to take to the party. Oh, there's a party? All right. Yeah, what do you do? I take sweetened condensed milk. I get 2 cans of it, and I boil it for an hour and 15 minutes. I take the paper off the can. I do not open the can. I leave the can sealed. I put it in a pot of water, and I boil it for an hour and 15 minutes, and at the end of the hour and 15 minutes, I turn it off, and it sits in there overnight, and it caramelizes. And I didn't say caramelizes. I said caramelizes. And that was for you, Michelle and Phil. And at the end of it, I scoop that stuff out. It turns really thick, and I scoop it out. And put it into a graham cracker crust, and then I slice bananas into banana chips and coat the top of it, and you end up with this caramel banana pie that is fantastic. And people always taste it, and they're like, "Holy crap, this is amazing!" So it's the easiest thing in the world to do. You just boil the sweetened condensed milk for an hour and 15 minutes. Turn the water off and leave it in there. Turn the heat off. Leave it in the hot water overnight until it cools, and then you open it and scoop it into a graham cracker crust. Put the bananas on top, and then you top that with whipped cream on top, and it's the best thing ever. And everyone is always impressed. They're like, "Dude, you are like Chef Ramsay. You're amazing." So there you go. That's a cool recipe. I say something native to your culture. Like impressed with Phil. I impressed Phil with my taco shell making skills. And you also put the Spanish lettuce on top too. Hell yeah. You know what's really good? Migas. My family can make migas that are ridiculous. My mom, I can't do it like my mom does. My mom, amazing. My mom and my grandma. And my sister's pretty badass cook too, so I bet she can do them like that. But yeah, they take half of the skillet on the fire and half off of the fire, and well, first they brown the pan, they brown the corn tortillas, and you have cumin and black peppercorns you crush in a molcajete, and you put them in there, and you season this stuff up, and you fry them, and then you take half of the skillet off of the fire, and then you cook eggs on the other side of the skillet with half of the skillet off. And I'm like, how do you do? I burn the tortillas every time. How the hell do they do it? They're like magicians. My family are wizards. Oh man, now I'm getting hungry. Now I want migas. spaghetti. Bobby says spaghetti with spiralized zucchini, angel hair pasta. Man, this sounds good. I need to take my butt to a restaurant. All right. First, know their tastes. If they like fish, I make Pepitos crushed steelhead trout with asparagus on a bed of herb rice. That sounds delicious. Holy smokes. Who else is getting hungry? Me. All right. All right. So, yeah, I thought about it. It's like, dude, I need to make a Migas food truck. Migas. And I can make I was vegan for a while. I can do some killer vegan Migas, which I was calling Vegas. And then I was like, Viva Las Vegas? Viva. And then I'm like, how do you spell that? Riley, ask him. Riley, who's Riley? I like your dog. Ask them what they like and go from there. And whatever dessert Clint is going on about. That's right. Thanks, Riley, for chiming in. Also, if you think you can make something from their native culture that you can nail, that will impress, like conchitas con carne. Hell yeah, that sounds amazing too. And Reese says, buy some McDonald's and pretend you made steamed hams. Reese trolling. Reese, you trolling, man? Are you trolling, Reese? Because you know what happens when you're trolling. When I don't feel very good about myself, I fuck with people on the internet that I don't even know that well because it makes me feel better. Ooh, it makes me feel better. But the dopamine, it doesn't even last that long. And now the dopamine's gone. That's not the one I wanted. I wanted that one. Yeah. Yeah, I just needed an excuse to play that troll video. I like doing that. Hell yeah. All right. What else we got? All right. Yeah, I'm telling you, you need a dessert? That's the dessert that will impress. It's a good one. A bunch of other stuff. But anyway, well, guys, I really missed having Mia here tonight. Also, if you can't cook, you should let them know. Absolutely. Missed having Mia. Man, it just wasn't the same without Mia, but you guys in the chat helped me through this and made it fun. So I really appreciate you guys hanging out and being hilarious and whatnot. And we're going to do this every Thursday. We'll have Mia back next Thursday. Before we go, I just want to say, if you need help, National Suicide Prevention Hotline, 1-800-273-TALK, or Suicide Prevention lifeline.org. Yeah, if you're in a bad place, man, get some help. There's people out there to help. There's people just looking for people to help. So jump on that. And all right. And again, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click that notification bell, and tell your friends about us, man. I really appreciate you guys joining us today. Riley, I don't recognize you, so I'm going to do a special shout out to Riley with the air horn. Yeah. Thanks for hanging out with us today, and hopefully we see you next Thursday. We'll be on at 8. And today I had some technical difficulties. I was really impressed with myself. I was like, Clint, you are on point. You have everything set up. You're going to be on at 8 o'clock. I was going to run it at 8 o'clock and have the countdown timer for 5 minutes, start at 8:05, and then my entire operation just was like not working. I had to like unplug and replug everything. It was a good time. So hopefully next week we won't have any technical issues and we can start on time, and that is at 8 o'clock every Thursday. So we will see you guys next week. Thanks so much. If you got any questions, make sure you if you're on Facebook, you watching on Facebook, you can message me on Facebook. You can add a comment to this video at the bottom of this. I'll check the comments. And if you got any questions, you want to talk about any subjects at all, we can do that. I always like when you guys give me stuff to talk about instead of hunting for things to talk about. So we will see you next time. I'll see you soon. Thanks again, guys.
Answering for a friend.